Ms. Diener,
The state calls James Van Gorkum.
you may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Turn to the jury. Introduce yourself, please.
Good morning. My name is James Van Gorkum. I'm a police officer with the Fort Worth Police Department, currently assigned to the Crime Scene Search Unit.
How long have you been a police officer with Fort Worth?
8 years.
What'd you do before you were with Fort Worth?
I was a student and I worked at Target.
Okay, all right. And so your time with Fort Worth for the last 8 years, tell me about what particular divisions you've been assigned to.
I was assigned to the Patrol Division in Central Division and then Crime Scene.
And what made you want to go from patrol to crime scene?
I was always interested in that kind of work. I feel like I'm more technically inclined, and the level of detail, things like that, appealed to me.
Do you like it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so how long did you say you'd been in the crime scene unit at this point?
At this point or right now?
At this point in the present?
5 years.
Okay. And so back in October of 2019, how long had you been in crime scene?
Just under 2 years.
All right. And so tell us about the additional training that you have to go through in order to be in the crime scene unit.
So once you are accepted into the crime scene unit, you go through a 4-month field training program with several different crime scene officers. It ranges from scenario-based or lab-based training all the way to just observational training. You work the call while your trainer observes, and if they see things that need to be addressed, they address them. It culminates in what we call a ghost phase, where your trainer is purely an observer, and at the end of your work offers corrections or additional advice, things that you can change. Once I completed that, I did an additional 2 weeks of field training with the Leica 3D scanner.
What is the Leica 3D scanner?
The Leica 3D scanner is a digital imaging device that uses a panoramic camera and a laser to create points in space and a 3D model of the scene or wherever we are scanning.
Does it have the capability to measure certain locations from one point to another?
Yes, ma'am.
For purposes of today and what was done in this case, did you do any measurements, or did the Leica scanner do any measurements?
No, ma'am.
Did it purely just scan the crime scene?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And did you actually go out to the crime scene off 1203 East Allen Avenue?
Yes, ma'am.
What day did you go out there, sir?
That was October 12th, ma'am.
And 1203 East Allen Avenue, what city is that in?
Fort Worth.
Is that in Tarrant County, Texas, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
About what time did you get called out to the crime scene?
I was dispatched at about 5 a.m. and arrived on scene shortly after.
And when you got there, were there other officers still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there other crime scene officers there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you remember what other crime scene officers were there?
Yes, ma'am. It was Crime Scene Officer Valderas and Crime Scene Officer Bain.
Do you know what their purpose for being there? What were they doing?
They were the primary crime scene investigators, ma'am.
So why were you called to the scene in addition to them?
Purely to collect scan data for the scene.
Okay. And so tell us how you actually do that. How do you do a scan and set it up?
So the Leica scanner utilizes a laser that shoots over 1 million times a second and creates individual points in space. Those points come together to form a cloud, which the cloud itself forms a 3D model of the scene. The way we accomplish that is at various locations within the scene, we will set up a tripod with the scanner on top. Once the scanner is running, it spins in a circle, shooting that laser out millions of times and creates the 3D model space. Once that is collected, the scanner is removed from the tripod and our panoramic camera is placed on top without moving tripod or anything, and a panoramic image is collected from the exact same location.
And so does it allow for it to be basically kind of bring the jury into the crime scene as much as we can?
Yes, ma'am.
And has the Leica scanner and this technology been used before in other district courts?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you testified before as a crime scene officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Few or many occasions, sir?
A fair amount, ma'am.
Okay, all right. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
handy pre-marked State's Exhibit 3. Does that appear to be a disc that contains the Leica scan for this particular case?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you and I meet and have an opportunity to go over what the actual scan was and look at the photographs?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the crime scene that you remember, as well as the Leica scan that you did?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, we offer State's Exhibit 3, and this has been previously provided to defense as well.
Any objections other than those previously stated?
No further objections, just guidance on the court on how we're going to publish the disc.
Well, and Your Honor, we've transferred it over to the death hall for purposes of this, for publishing to the jury.
I renew my objections and what's being displayed under the hash theory that we covered in here.
Those objections remain overruled and State's Exhibit 3 is admitted.
Thank you. I'm now going to show you State's Exhibit 20 through 23, and then State's Exhibit 28 in order to 68. And if you'll just look at those for me. Do all of those exhibits appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the crime scene as you remember it from that night?
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, for purpose of the record, it's 20, 21, 23, and then 28 through 68, all in order. And we're going to offer all of those exhibits, and these have also all been provided to defense.
Your Honor, I understand they've given us discovery, but I haven't seen a mark. Can I look at them?
Absolutely.
And Your Honor, for purposes of the record, State's Exhibit 20 and 21 and 22 is already in evidence, already been admitted.
I have 22 admitted, but I don't have 21 or 23.
Oh, okay. So just 22, that's what the gap is between 20, 21, and 23.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Your eyes will get to one day. Looking at state 63 and 67, you didn't take these photos, did you?
That is correct, sir.
These are Valderas' crime scene photos, but you were out there, correct?
Yes, sir.
States 63 and 67, do you know at the time that former Officer Dean discharged the resident, the interior lights are on
I do. Sorry, sir.
in the residence in the room of issue?
I do not know, sir.
So 63 and 67 may not be a fair and accurate depiction at the time of the event. All these photos are post the time of the event, correct?
Yes, sir. It's fair and accurate to when I was on scene.
Okay. Judge, we don't have any further objections to this fact.
All right, so states exhibits 20 and 21 and 23, and then 28 through 68 are admitted.
It's okay. I'm gonna, permission to publish those? You can
Yes,
just.
yes, ma'am. Middle switch.
You're up.
Okay, so Tiffany, they're just basically trying to enter evidence in, right? I mean, this is kind of
Yeah.
the normal stuff.
Yes. It's pretty mundane, but not very exciting.
But it's the important stuff that
but
has
it
to
is.
happen.
Yeah, so they had a hearing outside the presence of the jury where they were trying to enter in their expert as an expert so that they could get evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, hold on. Now they're
All
going
right,
to start
so
back
State's
up.
Exhibit 20, we're looking at the front, the outside of 1203 East Allen, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we can see in State's Exhibit 20, there appears to be, and I'm just going to use a laser for purpose of the record, crime scene tape around the very front, and then we also see there appears to be a white car, is that right, in the driveway?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now State's Exhibit 21, what is this?
This is looking down the western edge of the home.
So if you were walking up to this house, coming from that red building, walking across, you look to the left, if you're looking at the house, you're going to see that there's a fence in the backyard, is that right? At least to the side.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 22, what is this?
A photograph looking at the eastern side of the house.
And now coming into view, there appears to be a darker vehicle that's also parked in that driveway, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And for purposes of the record, in State's Exhibit 22, the white car and then the darker colored car that's parked in the driveway, are they actually facing each other, which would be nose to nose? There's space between, but they're facing each other, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now what are we looking at, State's Exhibit 23?
So this is the open lot to the east of the residence.
Is it quite a bit of space to the right or the east of 1203 East Allen?
Yes, ma'am.
Now where are we in State's Exhibit 28?
We are standing inside of the living room kitchen area of the home, looking down the central hallway.
And State's Exhibit 29?
We've moved further north down the hallway to the bedrooms located on the northern end of the house.
So when you were doing the Leica scans, are you going into these various rooms to take the scans?
Yes, ma'am.
State's Exhibit 30, what is that?
We have panned the camera to the right to show another room that there's a bathroom located next to the bedrooms.
And State's Exhibit 31, where are we?
This is the bedroom at the northeast corner of the home.
And State's Exhibit 32.
We are along the northern wall of that bedroom, standing over the deceased.
Why is it important to take photographs, and in your case, take the Leica scan of the positioning of the body of the deceased?
Our primary duty is the documentation of the scene as we see it, so photographs are a major component of that, and the scan is becoming imperative too. Sometimes positionings of bodies and things can indicate certain things. I'm not sure in this case if it was.
And are you given a pretty small amount of information when you go out to a scene?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're just taking photographs of everything you possibly can. From a crime scene perspective, when photographs are taken, they're just trying to take as many photographs as they can, not knowing yet what may be important later.
Correct.
Okay. All right, State's Exhibit 33 is just a different view of some items that were by Tatiana's body.
Yes, ma'am.
And 34, tell us what that yellow thing is right